Hello and welcome to DCP episode 359, the one where it all goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
This is the game that does it. Oh,
never ends.
Kind of a rough week for Bungie fans, for Bungie employees, for everybody kind of, I don't know, watching this space, I'd say. I don't know. Should we just jump right into it? Like, should we just start talking about it?
I mean, there wasn't anything else in the TWID. This is pretty much all there is to talk about.
Yeah.
It's been encompassing of my week a lot, you know, beyond like there's thinking about obviously having empathy for the people that were working there that got laid off, the people that are still working there that are going to have to like pick up slack, and but then also selfishly thinking about myself as a player and then like content and all that stuff. Yeah.
Should we just kind of try and recap the week's events for anybody who isn't stuck to Twitter 20% of their day?
Lego, did you say you had like a bit of a timeline of events, a bit of a summary?
Kinda, yeah. So October 30th was when everything really started to go down. That's this Monday, and it didn't break by an article or anything, although Bloomberg did have an article shortly thereafter. But the Bungie employees themselves started taking to Twitter to say, this morning I found out I got laid off. And it just, as a community, you saw it kind of go down one by one, starting first thing in the morning. Apparently, they had these 15-minute meetings scheduled onto their calendars, and they'd go in and slowly, one by one, found out that they were getting laid off from the company. And some people, there was even people who didn't have their meeting until like Tuesday. Like they didn't find out. There was a report of one person who actually like saw their name in some paperwork that they were getting laid off before they even went to the meeting.
But they had a 15 minutes scheduled
exactly
event like in their calendar.
Mm-hmm. And so, it's just, and the shock of it all isn't just the number of people, but it's the way it went down and everything that happened after, and the public figures that were being laid off, like that the community knew so well, which anybody getting laid off is terrible. But the fact that it was people that we were used to seeing as a community, specifically community managers, 3 of the Destiny community managers that I saw, Sam, Liana, and there was one more that was, I think, in charge of a different section.
Social team, I think.
Well, not just Griffith. Yeah, 2 of the social media managers were as well, which Griffin was one of those. And that was crazy because he's responsible for so much of the Destiny social media account. But then also musicians, and I don't have all that written down of all the different sections. That it was a lot of the art department as well. I saw, just all over the place.
Seems like it was kind of across the board. Well, except for management, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was a lot of communication, PR, and then I don't know why music. I mean, like if you think about one of the things that's never faltered in the Bungie franchise, it's probably the music. And like Lego said, Lorraine McLeese is like another veteran that I actually met doing the anthology that has been with Bungie since 1999, like before Halo. She's accredited to having input in like artwork design of the Halo universe, basically, and just incredibly kind and lovely person. I met her when I did the anthology, so I was super surprised. She keeps to herself. Like I don't even think she really tweeted about it, or people know her Twitter, and that was a shock, I think.
Yeah. That, and also having Michael Salvatore, who did the original like Bungie theme song, and then a lot of people were attributing him to the Deepstone Crypt walk, but it was actually another guy. I don't have his name right in front of me. Someone in chat's gonna say it if y'all don't know it right away. But after that, then the person who did the Deepstone Crypt lullaby, like that person got laid off as well. And so it was just like one person after the other of iconic people that you know, and good people too, that everybody's like, this person is the best, not just in their field, but like quality of character as well. And so and the shock of the employees, I think, is what hit the community so hard, like seeing their reaction online, because and this is what's weird to me, is like Destiny is a game that's so intertwined with its community that when you do something like this, like everyone feels it. Whereas I don't want to speak for every other game out there, but it feels like Destiny is very intertwined with the developers who make the game, and so it just hit the community super hard this week.
Well, I mean, I think
They
that's
had
one
been
of the things that
told
always
during the Sony merger too that they weren't, that they weren't going to be laid off, right? It's like the jobs were safe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
there was an
imagine
article
that's, like,
about that.
expired or whatever since then. Like, I imagine that wasn't like forever, and they've probably gone past that. Like, maybe they only had to keep the jobs for a year or whatever. It's been a year and a half or something, has it? Since that went through.
There's people that,
but I think that's one of the things like that had separated Bungie for a long time from other game developers, is that the level of communication and interaction with developers and their community teams was, I always felt like was higher than other studios. And I think it comes from their background in Halo and how they started. But I think for a long time now, it has that surface level of being like that, but I don't think anyone's under the illusion that they're not like a business and a company. And I think this is kind of like that final straw that's like, it's not the Halo, it's not the Bungie you grew up with. It's not that they're like any other game company, like corporation. They're going to do this kind of business stuff. And I think that hurts a lot of people because it's like a pseudo relationship. It's the same with like content creators and viewers, and it's the same with like gamers and game companies. And they have like a pseudo relationship with them. And Bungie has a very forward-facing, progressive, like they help out with a lot of things globally, and present as the good guy kind of deal. And it doesn't mean that they're above being a business either. And I think it's confronting for people to see that.
Yeah. And I think it's even more to the point whenever everybody thought at first that it was straight from Sony, that all this was happening. They were like, okay, like this is clear. And it very well could be like pushed by them, but it felt like, is Sony the one deciding like who is getting taken off? And then Paul Tassi later came out with his source saying that layoff decisions came directly from Bungie, not Sony. And it just gets worse from there, because then the source also says that employee benefits only last till the end of the month. So by laying them off on the 30th, they only had 1 day of those benefits. That did include health insurance. And then also the employees had unvested shares due to the Sony purchase, but you have to stay with the company for so long, or else you lose them. And that includes getting laid off, or getting fired. Like you still don't keep those, even if it's not your call.
Part of me thinks that's part of whatever planning was happening on the management side.
The selection of the people.
Well, that just, and or the amount of vested, unvested stock that's just going back. And I'm curious, I've asked this question before, and where does the stock go? People are like, it goes back to the company, but where? Does the board get it? Does the management get it? Does it just go back into the pool to get bought? Where does it go? Is my curiosity, because that's a lot of money.
With the whole Bungie's choice versus Sony choice, I imagine, because chat's talking about it now, I imagine it was foreseeing that if we don't do something, Sony's going to do something. We rather take the helm and decide who gets cut rather than someone else coming in and doing it for us, essentially. And I think one of the hard things right now is you obviously don't know what position the company's in. Well after the fact, when we got Forsaken, they were really honest, hey, we were a couple months from closing down the doors and we needed to make huge changes. And we don't know what position they're in at the moment, and I guess being owned by Sony, you're not really going to be in that position. I imagine you're just going to have pressure to make, to reach your projected profits, I guess.
Well, kind of as
And
the
that's when
days went
people
on
were-
too, is the news just kept getting worse, right? It's like not only did we see the layoffs come, then we heard that the final shape has been delayed. Although Bungie, I don't believe has
Unofficially
confirmed that yet.
Yeah.
Although I would say that the TWAB certainly indicates that that's probably true.
Yeah, the
even though it
phrasing,
doesn't come
everything.
out and say it. Yeah, and then
Which we'll read that in a second, I'm sure.
they
'cause I
also
think it's
said
important.
that and I'm sorry, I can't remember if this, because I was reading so much news so quickly, I can't remember if this Paul Tassi reporting or if this was Jason Schreier, but both of them were doing an excellent job. And then we heard that Bungie's projections for the year had been 45% lower, which is that's a big difference. That's a real big difference.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that upsets a lot of people too, right? Because I put a tweet out how I've been laid off as well, and a lot of people have gone through similar stories, and it's often a similar thing where it's like when things are going well, it's like higher, build, and then you just make these like crazy, unreachable projections, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're like 45% down, and then you got to start cutting people, and it's like. And of course, the people who get cut are at the coalface, right? And that's where a lot of the
right, not the people who made the decision,
like,
right?
Not the people who set the projection targets. And yeah, that's super tough to see. And it's like you have this world where you just got to constantly make all the money. You got to keep pushing microtransactions. You got to keep pushing. Season passes, like event things and this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of people have been quite jaded with Destiny and the direction it's going. And then you sort of have this on top of it that makes it like perfect storm of like, well, we kind of saw it go in this direction. It's been not a good game for developers, but a good game for years. Like, it's no wonder people walked away. Like, it was probably going to make a loss or, not reach targets anyway because of the back of Lightfall. And because of the competition just with other games and because of the fatigue of the game itself. And it's like, how far did you overreach to think that it was going to do that? And how much was that influenced by whatever projections they gave Sony? Do you know? Was this all inflated because of whatever they did when they sold for 3.6 billion to Sony, Like, of course, there's going to be some huge numbers in there. And then it's like that all trickles down to pressure on developers and to pressure on the teams to not just make a good game, but to make bank.
Yeah. I've got so many questions about that 45%. Exactly what you said. Like, is it their projections to Sony? Is it somebody just putting out some wild projection, not accounting for what happened with Lightfall and what happened with all these other games coming out this year? But even still, like, Lightfall didn't sell poorly, right? Like, it wasn't anything out of
true.
And so I don't understand.
I think it sold better than every expansion or something. So
that's what I'm saying.
Even though it was,
but
if
like players aren't happy with it, or players leave because of how many great games have been released in 2023.
Yeah,
which Bungie can't do anything about that. I mean, the competition is fierce for gamers' time right now. Still means like that's less players in the pool buying stuff from Eververse or buying expansions or buying the.
But still,
the dungeon pass or whatever.
But silver amounting to 45%. Like,
well, I mean that must be like how dependent they are on the live service model of people being in the shop.
That makes me feel gross just thinking about it. Like 45% of it coming from that. Like, I don't know. That's just crazy for Lightfall to sell so well and to fall that short. I feel like it has to come down to projections for final shape, like pre-sale, like that, because that's what they doubled down on in the article too that they released today. So it would make sense that that's what's going on here.
True.
It doesn't.
I mean, I didn't pre-order. Did you guys pre-order? Like, it was the first probably expansion.
I always buy like the day before.
So I pre-ordered. I pre-ordered 2 physical limited editions because I always do that. However, after all this stuff coming out, I actually reached out to them to cancel it. I was gonna pre-order the PC version, but I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. But yeah,
Is a physical edition pre-order just a box of stuff? There's no game in there, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
You can get it with the game code, but that's separate.
Okay.
But I've gotten every limited edition since D1 beginning release, and this is the one I'm gonna get canceled.
It doesn't paint a rosy picture, right? Is they're laying people off, they're delaying Final Shape. There are also rumors of internal playtesting that said Final Shape is good, not great. It's like, well, are you going to make it better by laying people off?
Internal playtesting, like those are the people working on the game saying it's good, not great.
That's what the rumor is.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it's like, you know,
the
good,
argument
not great.
is
We're going to lay people off. That's not going to be. I mean, motivation is going to be at an all-time high over at Bungie right now after seeing like your friends get laid off, and then like now we got to like fix Final Shape and we're going to delay it. I mean, they haven't said they're going to delay it yet, but I mean that TWAB certainly makes you feel like, and it's.
Well, I think the argument is from their perspective. Well, the cuts they made were not like direct. I don't want to say not developers because I consider everyone who works at Bungie a developer, but they're not. When you cut people from community and PR and like stuff like that, like I think higher ups would consider that not as essential as making the game, so to speak. And I think the community would argue otherwise because, like I said at the beginning, like I feel like it's a community that's very connected to the company itself.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've been kind of bittersweet about is there's been quite a few reports of like the devs, especially the ones getting laid off, that have been vocal about like, hey, all that stuff that you guys have been asking for, wanted changes, all that stuff. We'd been advocating for it. And just management never, they never listen, never let us make those changes or whatever. So like when they say we're listening, part of me is like, that's them saying the devs hear you, but management isn't let us doing anything.
Listening?
They're not letting us do it. They're not. We're listening.
Yeah.
They aren't, like, I don't know. It's bittersweet.
I think that's the hard thing about this is like not pre-ordering and not wanting to be involved with Destiny just really hurts people that are still there and trying to make it through, and the devs. At the same time, it's
you're
like
not obligated to buy anything.
Yeah,
right. Will it actually make a difference in the end is the question.
Yeah. You are not responsible for the livelihood of these people. That's not your responsibility. Right. Your purchasing decision is not based on that. They owe you a product that you feel is a fair value. That's what you're buying.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to fund their Patreons, that's fine. But that's not what you're buying when you buy Destiny.
Yeah. That said, I do want to say, like, I don't want to shame anyone for keeping pre-orders or for canceling them, like either way, because if you like, some people are so invested in this franchise and want to see the work of the developers that are still there, that are grieving just as much as we are as a community, more than we are as a community, of the loss of their fellow developers that they were working beside. 8% of the company gone like that in a day. And so like, I don't think it's appropriate to judge people who are keeping that to see the final shape, but also like I understand people returning stuff too and being like, I don't want to support this, even whether it makes a difference or not. Like Briar said, I don't know, but I mean, it's I think it makes sense why someone would be uncomfortable with that. I think the vast majority of people out there that I'm seeing do.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to really tell what the general public thinks of this because we're obviously caught up in it because we're all content creators, we're on Twitter. But like, if I ask my brother who's a gamer and jumps into Destiny now and then, he probably has no idea, and all of his mates have no idea. And I don't think that boycotting probably makes a difference in the end. I think what makes a difference is if people might be a little bit more hesitant, but if Final Shape turns out to be good, they'll probably purchase it anyway. I think it's easy to say that you're not going to purchase a game when you're like angry and whatever, and like this is the final straw, but I don't think that like super impacts sales in the end of the day.
No, I would imagine not for Final Shape. I mean, people get over this as the lead up and the hype builds for Final Shape, but if Final Shape is mediocre, I think that certainly does not the outlook of Destiny right now doesn't look awesome, right? It's like you just like add up like all of these dominoes that are starting to fall over. It's like, well, what's the long-term forecast right now? And it's just kind of like, I would say I have a lot of faith in Bungie in that, they've gotten through hard times in the past. They've got extremely talented people working there still.
Yeah.
They lost some extremely talented people, but they still have some extremely talented people. But, the job just got harder for sure. Like, definitely. And we already know that internal testing says Final Shape looking okay, but not great. And like kind of, how many people do you know that were kind of like, Final Shape is kind of like my stepping off point for Destiny, unless like something really crazy happens that like really gets me back on board? Because it is the end of the saga that we've been on for 10 years, right? So it's a natural jumping off point, which Bungie has to be aware of. Like, it's always seemed so weird. Yeah, it's always seems so weird to like put this obvious jumping off point and to not like be like talking about what comes next to like get everybody psyched back up. So it's just, to me, it's just this really worrying moment for the game, right? It's like,
also to be more specific, right? The number that we're hearing is that like 100 people got laid off. They say that's 8% of Bungie. However, it's like 13 or 14% of the Destiny 2 team, if you think about it, because it was like almost exclusively Destiny staff, right? Like
because
there were Marathon people.
Well, that's the other thing is like there was another report that Marathon had been externally play tested. They brought like Tarkov players in to check it out, and the reception was not hugely positive.
Right.
So like the next thing is not looking so great.
Well, that goes both ways though, because people were saying like, well, Tarkov, that's Bungie's not trying to make Tarkov. Right. Like they are, but
they're the players that they gave it to.
I know. I don't. But they could have given it to other players too, and those are just the one that happened to be Aztecross's friend and brought him in. Because we don't know as much about that, and all those videos went down, I heard, so somebody must have reached out, which always is sketchy when stuff gets taken down right after these things go up, because you're like, oh, is this true, or
who knows?
Or even like them not denying the pushback of Marathon and of Final Shape, like those getting delayed, like nothing was said about those. It's not like this still on track, all this stuff. Instead, it was the opposite. It was like, we know we need to do better. We're doing everything we can to make it the best. And it sounded more like we're fixing your worries. Like we're actively fixing them, not like, don't worry, Yeah.
To be fair, on the development side, you don't want people coming in to give feedback. You don't want them singing praises to you. You want them like dissecting, giving feedback, like for stuff for them to like make better. Because if you're bringing in people that are just like, oh yeah, this is great. It's like, where's the feedback? Where's the stuff to change? Like Marathon is still actively in development. So I think them being, brutally honest with that stuff without being cruel is the best way to get a game.
Well, again, according to rumors, like we don't know if any of this is true, but it was enough of a shock to the system to delay the game from a 2024 release to 2025. Sure. So it couldn't have been good. Like it must have been.
Or these things could be unrelated too. Like it could be that the layoffs are actually what is that's possible as well. But the layoffs could be like the reason why these things are delayed. They're having less people to work on it, but it has to be great also. So it's just gonna take longer to get these things out. Versus it just being the feedback thing only. But the feedback for the actual Final Shape stuff, I think that came from like IGN or Bloomberg or Paul Tassi, one of those. That one seemed a little more reliable.
Yeah, Paul Tassi doesn't generally put out false news.
Which, speaking of, one of those things that was said was, I think you mentioned it earlier, Jay, the Pete Parsons saying we kept the right people after all the layoffs happened. Well, and we haven't talked at all about Pete Parsons, and he made a tweet on October 30th, so towards the end of the day. This is at 3 p.m. And said, "Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who have all made a significant impact on our studio." Basically, a very generic, like, hey, these are truly... This is the part that I think ticked a lot of people the wrong way. There's a follow-up reply where he said, "These are truly talented people. If you have openings, I would highly recommend each and every one of them." And it's like, well, why did you lay these people off then? It just put him in a really...
There's nothing a CEO could say on that day that's going to make anybody feel any better. You need to just shut the fuck up, Pete.
Exactly. And
Zip it,
and that's what a lot of people were saying. They were like, if you would have not fired your social media managers, you would have known this is a bad idea.
I think the only way that it wouldn't have been terrible is if he took more responsibility for the fact that they had to do that in the first place. Like
anything
myself and
no good.
Well, I mean, like, imagine if he had said something like, we the whatever, the board or whatever, made some bad decisions and it affects people that are working for us, and it makes, like, if they took more responsibility for it, how would the community have taken it? Right? I don't know, maybe.
But so that was, I think, probably a mistake, but whatever. You can see a CEO doing something stupid like that. They do it all the time. But that line that we kept the right people, I think is just a dagger. That is just a dagger. I'm sure when he said it, he didn't mean it to get out, but I mean, dummy, it's gonna get out. You fired people's friends. They're gonna tell them what you said. It was really insensitive and really
trying to imagine it going down is really difficult. Like that community meeting with the devs and him saying that, it's a difficult thing to imagine.
He's trying to encourage the people that are still there, but inevitably is shutting out people that are not still there, that have worked very hard on the product,
which hit those developers listening really hard because their friends are the ones walking out the door. Like they talk about the Bungie community, like within those walls, being really tight knit. But not, it's not family between them and the CEO. It's family between each other, those developers that are working together.
It makes me think how...
So what, the music's going to be like AI now or something?
I mean, I feel like that's pretty telling as to the future of what Destiny is after Final Shape. The fact that they're letting go like the most prolific, arguably the most prolific like part of the game is just gone now, realistically speaking. So like, what kind of future does Destiny have after Final Shape? If they're if they feel like they don't need that anymore, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously like they feel like they don't need those big set pieces, and that it's not worth. I'm imagining he was on a pretty good salary. He's been there for a long time and does some the best work in the field. And they thought, well, we can save a big chunk of the pie by getting rid of some of these veterans and hiring on some new dudes for a lot less to do.
For sure.
And it reads, the way the room reads is like, so we can focus on Marathon, because Marathon doesn't have the same vibe as Destiny and Halo did.
That's true.
And so it's like, we don't need these artists working for it. We don't need these musicians that are iconic, but like not the vibe that we're looking for, or something like that, which is terrible to say, like, why, but if they are, like, it reads as cutting back on Destiny, which is really unfortunate given everything Breyer said on community sentiment for the Final Shape being the final thing. What's after? Oh, we're making all these cuts of all the people that have been involved in Destiny. It's hard to read it any other way. Like, you could try to spin it like we're trying to make it fresh for like a new experience and not just have the same old, but like, that's not how this reads.
Well, a publicist would maybe be able to spin it that way, but a CEO can't.
Yes. Yeah.
CEO. Like,
yeah, I mean, I do hope that they can pull out of this, right? Is there, if what we've heard is true, they're giving themselves some extra time to, spruce up the final shape. Hopefully they're thinking about what's next. What I'm wondering is if the final shape is going to end in some kind of cliffhanger that just like leads us into, what are they calling the seasons after final shape? What are they? It's not
Chapters.
seasons, chapters.
Episodes. Yeah, sorry.
Hopefully that's what they're doing, as as dark as this looks, you got to remember there's still 92% of the studio still there. And, we still want them to be making great games, right? And we still want to be playing great games. Yeah. It's just, it just feels like a real gut punch.
Man,
right
you
now.
gotta ask, like, not only are the audience probably fatigued with Destiny, but like how fatigued and how low is morale amongst their own devs now, like how are you going to feel going into work and making Destiny stuff,
having like survived layoffs, that
and
that
the live
generally goes
service
away.
just seems
you get back
brutal,
to,
man.
Like a week later you're like, okay, well, we got to get back to work. Like it sucks that they're gone, but
and if you saw the tweets from the people that left, they were just like, obviously like super anxious and super upset, but also almost relieved, because they were just like, you could feel the impending doom and the push of the live service, and like the constant,
it's got to be hard.
The constant grind of it, and everyone always having to band together to like make these deadlines and to make this product and like there's no downtime. It's from one thing to the next. Yeah, and a lot of the tweets that I saw and people that I know were like, yeah, obviously I'm super upset. I don't know what the future holds, but like, there's also a bit of relief too that I'm not in that grinder anymore.
Yeah, I do hope they all land on their feet, find awesome new jobs. I know, like, I can't remember who it was, but I was reading one guy who's just like, I'm not doing game development anymore. This is just awful. That's one thing about game development too. Is like it's so much work, and you get paid less than like a guy who's working on making PowerPoint work better.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I made some applications this year thinking about getting into game development, and this is a big turnoff too. Like, and just seeing all the developers come out and being like, this field is so unstable right now
across the industry.
John, not
too.
just
this
from
year has
Bungie,
been
but
filled,
everyone.
filled with layoffs.
6,000 people laid off, I think, from the industry.
And like you got all these like mega corporations like buying up studios, like how Microsoft's just like buying up all the studios. Embracer Group's been buying up all the studios. Sony's been buying up all the studios. And then you just have like this one head decision maker who gets to decide thousands of people's futures. Or like if with Embracer Group, it was just like this play to try and sell the company off when they couldn't do that. Oh shit, we don't have any money to keep these studios going, so we got to start making huge cuts. It's scary shit.
Yeah, Lego, same point. One of my dreams for a long time has been to like work for Bungie. I just trying to like, motivate yourself to update the resume and find value and find a position that works and all that stuff. But all this stuff is real unsettling for sure.
Yeah. I'd like to dive in specifically to some of the stuff at Bungie since we're there. With someone mentioned outsourcing in chat a second ago, and I did want to bring that up because specifically having 3 community managers and all the social media managers all laid off at the same time, like, we as a community like don't know what is like all the faces that we knew that we responded to and communicated with are all gone. Like Cosmo and Bruno are the only 2.
Godspeed to them trying to deal with all the work right now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so we were already on this path. I wanted to talk about it because we were already on this path to D2 teams being the head. And we talked about on this podcast how it sucks not having a personal figure, but it was dangerous for there to be people, their faces in front. And so, the way this is going down and the way this is starting makes it just a real ugly transition to that if that's what they're doing. Because now we have hardly any faces to the dev team, and this is all, instead of having a CEO or a director like Joe come out and be like, hey, this is what has happened to the company, like having a face and having that personal connection. It signed the Destiny 2 dev team. The same people that are supposed to be like, you know, like be on, like communicating for us to the CEOs, is that account feels like it is being written by the CEO now. And I don't know, there's just a disconnect there for me and the future of our communication with Bungie as players and as content creators.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very different form of communication. And like, are we even going to get twibs and twads and twabs, whatever? Like, I know that Destiny community has been pretty spoiled by the level of communication. And I think if you look back, it has helped the game go for a long time too, because it's created like a secondary marketing, content creators covering news about the game and updates and all this kind of thing. And I think it's a big oversight to not consider communication in your community devs as part of the team, because they're not directly working on the game, and that they were the extra fat that could be cut, right? Because they're not hands-on with making the product.
Which really sucks when we get reports that they're begging, employees begged for changes to get players back. Like, these are the people that were doing that, and those are the people that seemingly, I'm sure there were more people than just the community managers that were begging to make certain changes, but as the people that we see, you know, seeing them get cut is tough.
Yeah. The ones specifically getting the feedback from all the different sources, right? Bungie forums and just everything. Wow.
Do we want to dive into the specific article that Bungie put out that is signed by the dev team?
Signed by the management?
Yeah.
Signed by the dev team?
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. Immediately, first paragraph, I was like, this is not, it doesn't sound like a dev team post at all.
People are comparing it to like, you know, having AI write it and seeing like how close it comes. And some of it is a little close.
Wasn't there one company that did that?
Yeah.
They had AI write one of those?
Mm-hmm. Ugh. Okay, well, I'll just read it. I'm definitely going to stop on the second paragraph here, but I'll just read through it. So it says, our path forward this year has been one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history as we parted ways with people we respect and admire. We spent this week supporting one another, including those who are at the studio, as well as friends and colleagues who are no longer here. This part reads really weird because if it is written by a CEO, you know, it just feels like
it says them
Parsons' tweet. Yeah. And then the second paragraph, we want to acknowledge the feedback and concerns you have about Lightfall and recent seasons, as well as your responses to the reveal of the final shape. We know we have lost a lot of your trust. Destiny needs to surprise and delight. We haven't done this enough, and that's going to change.
It sounds like what the internal messaging to the dev team is. That sounds like what the leadership tells the dev team on a daily basis. Like, all right, guys, we really need, you know, like this really needs to be, that's how that reads to me. It doesn't read like the dev team talking to us. It sounds like it's internal messaging from leaders. Which is
I just imagine someone walking in, slapping up a poster. Surprise and delight! Surprise and delight! Everyone dances.
This is the same company that had that talk where they're like, deliver less, right?
Yeah, that's been floating around.
Yeah.
It's basically like earn trust. There's a middle line there. I don't have it pulled up exactly.
Earn trust, earn money, deliver less. Something like that.
Those are two separate things. One of them talked about not over delivering. That's from a different thing. And then there's another picture going around from one of the, I think, conferences or talks that they did that talked about like gaining the trust and then afterwards earning the revenue. And people are saying it feels like this is flipped upside down right now. But yeah, there's a different one that has to do with over delivery. Trust, retention, revenue. That's what it was. Yeah. But with this second paragraph, the like feedback concerns about Lightfall, like that's a given. Like that one makes sense. Recent seasons, there is a lot of feedback about the seasonal model, but as well as your responses from the reveal of Final Shape, that one was interesting to me. Like, where do y'all think that comes from?
The response to the reveal of Final Shape, like I feel like before all this, the reveal was fine, right?
that was my impression as
I
well.
think I
But
did internal testing, like product testing with consumer type stuff. I don't know.
it's just weird that that would be in here. Then it goes more to your point, Jay, of it being like an internal thing. Like because
Well, no, maybe it's pre-orders. Maybe
Maybe
they're
so.
saying like we did the reveal and there wasn't a lot of pre-orders from that, so we obviously haven't sold the product to you.
As good
Yeah.
as Bungie has
Yeah.
been with hyping up future products too, like it doesn't feel like the hype is at an all-time high right now for Final Shape.
Yeah, we don't really know much about it other than 2 new subclasses going in and seeing like the reflection of what it's going to be like inside the Traveler,
Yeah.
and that's kind of
Which
it.
look
And
cool.
Cade. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll keep reading here so we can get through it.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to read this whole thing? Is this necessary?
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah,
feel
I'll have
like?
to read the whole thing.
not
It's
that
not
long,
very,
yeah.
it's not going to
Yeah.
take you long, to be honest.
Yep. I know. To us, the path forward is clear. We need to make the Final Shape an unforgettable Destiny experience. We want to build something that will be regarded alongside the best games we've ever made. A fitting culmination that honors the journey we've been on together for the past 10 years. Forsaken, the Witch Queen, and the Taken King. These are the standard bearers we aim to live up to. We are intensely focused on exceeding your expectations for the Final Shape. Destiny 2 has more than 650 dedicated teammates pouring all their energy and expertise into delivering this epic moment and its subsequent episodes. In the weeks ahead, you'll be hearing more from us about what's next in the short-term horizon, beginning with our next season in late November. Afterwards, we'll begin to unpack our team's bigger, bolder, and brighter fusion for the Final Shape, as well as the bridge we plan to build to take us all out of this darkness and into the light. See you, Starside, the Destiny 2 dev team.
You can pick this apart. They don't say that they've delayed the Final Shape. I think that's probably smart, even if they're planning on delaying the Final Shape. Now is time to let this breathe, let it die down. Announce you're going to delay it like maybe next week. Although if you do it today, it rips the Band-Aid off, If you do it next week, it just prolongs the bad sentiment.
Yeah.
But they just might want to be like, hey, we're not gonna interrupt this people, mourning about the layoffs by announcing news today. So we're just gonna.
Yeah, I could see it that way. It is weird.
Is there anything they could do to fix this? Like, do you think if you had I mean, you would never get a CEO address, would you? I mean, they got no one to really advise them. Say the right
I feel like
thing.
I feel like they're really disconnected from consumers, really, in general.
Well, they need to get Joe Blackburn to
That's what I was going to say.
to confirm that what he has talked about before is still on track. Because I don't know if you guys, I don't remember if TV said this on Twitter or if he said it in his video, but he's like, I just assumed that that's all gone now.
They kind of made a fool of Joe a little bit, I feel like.
Oh yeah,
Right?
that wasn't on here. On their tweet, I realized that. I thought that was in this article, but on Destiny, I guess it was Destiny 2 Team's Twitter when they posted this, they did say the TWID will return next week with updates. We're just getting this instead from the Crucible Strike team. So yeah, the TWID will return with new updates from the Crucible Strike team. So like the Crucible stuff still happening, which I know was TV's concern there. But I guess the question is like, what is that going to look like now? Are all like the things that we wanted to do, can we actually do them with the people we have now, and with so much focus being on the Final Shape and making that money from it?
Well, that's how they move past this, right? That's how they move past this. Is they deliver on past promises, even though they appear to be in a weakened state, and then they deliver an awesome experience in the Final Shape with a hook at the end that explains why you want to keep playing Destiny 2 after the Final Shape. I mean, words aren't going to do anything at this point. Words are empty. Words are like we no longer have the words aren't going to do anything. Now you need to do. And it sucks to be in that position, but here you are.
Well, I mean, I think that's what they're planning on. That's why they don't have anyone in the communications. Like, they're just going to do now. Like, they've kind of just said, there's no point talking about it.
I imagine it seems like my perception of what is going on is that the majority of the people that were laid off were not the ones actually building the product. I mean, levels and graphics and all the actual like development part. Not saying that people that were laid off weren't part of the developers, but they weren't building the actual product.
Or their part
So
had been finished.
right. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing of that I bring up, like, could they say anything? Is a lot of the information we're using is from like sources. I mean, personally, I'd be interested to see what Joe said. Like, hey, yeah, like, and responsibility. Like, we overprojected, and we didn't think that Lightfall had great sales, but we had really poor pre-sales after that, and that was one of the causes. We also lost people through the seasons, even though we think we delivered a good season, and we think it's because of this, and that led to this happening. And we obviously had to make tough decisions, blah 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 blah. Like, I don't know if that's going to really change people's minds, but I'm interested to hear stuff that's not from sources.
I think you're dead on. Like, I feel like that's the thing. If like Joe came out and was like, hey, as like an in-between person, even like between what like the dev team that's working on Destiny can't control and the loss of like so many great developers at the same time, and they need to, and he needs to come out and like, I don't know about what they could do about the layoffs, but as far as like coming out to talk about the final shape and after, like, that is such a big concern for the entire player base, like that Destiny isn't just going to evaporate once the final shape is released, because like y'all got rid of all the, a bunch of the main audio people, soundtrack people, designers, social media, community managers. Like, are y'all just outsourcing all this now and you don't care as much about Bungie? Because that's what it looks like. Like, we need someone like Joe to come out and be like, hey, we do care. This is what's going on.
Even in this post, they call this final shape a fitting culmination that honors the journey we've been on together. Like,
they're just doing a terrible job of making it seem like it's continuing. Like, there is nothing that is giving me the impression that we're going to keep going, other than, oh, hey, there's what did you call it? Like chapters. There's episodes coming, and I can't even remember the name of it because it's been talked about so little.
I think it hurts because, to your point, and I think Mylan was mentioning this earlier, that we've kind of lost our voice of the game of Bungie, but also the voice to feel like we're heard as consumers and content creators and stuff too. So yeah, I think somebody, and I think Joe's probably the right person to do it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see any more live streams from Joe anytime soon.
Yeah.
They still have the production team for that? Like,
God, there'd be no way to keep that in check.
There's no way he's in on this, right? Like, there's no way. Like, he's
that kind of transparency is not available.
Yeah.
Right.
I do want to say
we got everything out.
Yeah, I think so.
I kind of want to end a little bit with just like one sentiment, because I know that, and I'm not trying to make any of this better. It's terrible. Like, I haven't even tweeted anything about it or said anything about it or posted anything on my channel, anything, because all I want to do is just respect the devs that were laid off. Like, I'm just retweeting people looking for jobs. That's the only thing I'm about right now. But since I am on a Destiny 2 podcast, I do want to give the perspective of, I see a lot of people seeing this as their time to come out and talk about how much Destiny 2 sucks. And like, I'm on a Destiny 2 podcast. I have a Destiny 2 YouTube channel. Like, I love Destiny 2. I love the developers that both just left and are still there and what they've created. And I actually like really enjoy the game, even the way it is now. And just, it's so sad to see as a player. Like, I want to see Destiny exceed where it's at right now. And it does. Like, there's another side of pain that's not just like, I like am hurt by Destiny 2. I'm not even playing the game. Wow, I'm never coming back. Or like, I'm so frustrated with it. I'm canceling Final Shape. But there's also the side of all the players who play Destiny 2 every day. It's their community of people that they get home from work and talk with their clan and generally just have a good time playing the game. And that this just really sucks, like, for all of them. I don't know what else to say about it. I just wanted to give kind of that perspective of like there are just all these different voices piling on right now, but there are players who are enjoying the game and just, you know, they want it to get better. They want to see it this push through. I don't know how that happens at this point. We need a lot of encouragement. You know, everything that we've talked about here, all the suggestions we've given. I'm anxious to see what Bungie does next.
I mean, just to support that, I mean, I've noticed changes in my community since we moved away from Destiny. Because, you know, I've been doing a lot more variety on live streams and people fighting and getting upset in chat and this, that, and the other. And in the end, when I spoke to people, you know, Destiny is a part of people's lives and was an important part for whatever reason and got them through tough times. And the game's no longer what they enjoy or they haven't played for long. And a lot of it comes out in anger and very vitriolic. And when you have things like this, it's like a time to like get that anger out again. And so, you know, I obviously find your Twitch chats and your YouTube comments, like, yeah, fuck Destiny, fuck Bungie, fuck your mum, fuck your dad. And it's just like, yeah, okay. Like you can tell, you can even see in our in this Twitch chat here. It's just like, it's time to move on. Like, yeah, like you weren't even playing anyway. You know, you'd already moved on. It's just, this is bringing up all the emotions of Destiny not being the game that you want it to be anymore. And you'll be a much happier person if you just play something else.
Yeah. And further to that, don't be one of those people that has that inside of you and takes it out on the developers that were laid off like they did something that caused them to be laid off. I've seen a lot of that.
Shitty?
Just awful, terrible stuff. Like, do not do that, because that is not what is happening here. These aren't people that did something wrong. Like, these are people. I mean, we've listed so many people that did incredible things for Bungie over the years, but even those that aren't the big names, they're just everyday like testers that got laid off that were told you're going above and beyond, you're doing excellent. So I don't want to see anybody come after the devs who were laid off that way. It's just disgusting.
The likelihood of any of those people actually making high-end decisions that are upsetting to you is very likely zero.
Yeah. If anything, this whole thing has shown us they were advocating for us.
Right, exactly.
Right. Well, now that Activision is going over to Microsoft, maybe Anthem 2 is on the table. We get some ex-Bungie devs over there. Get the real Destiny killer back. You all know you want it. Should we do some Twitter questions?
Let's do it.
No.
All right.
No.
Not tonight.
All right.
Oh, no. Just the
Big
look on Myers'
Parsons,
face.
Chief Greed Officer, CGO at Bungie, says, trust us. Have I ever let you down before?
I blocked that account.
Yeah.
Juice says, what's your favorite food? Italian, Japanese, Mexican? I'm hungry and was just curious.
Mexican. Easy.
It's good. Yeah.
Easy.
Just mix it all together.
I do like Italian. I can't.
Italian's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Japanese is really good too.
Yeah, I was like, is any of it
All
bad?
good.
Like, that all sounds delicious.
You kind of caught me hungry too, because I didn't eat dinner
Yeah,
tonight.
I haven't eaten a meal all day.
Yeah, I'm hungry as fuck. Let's
Probably
finish
gonna
the
get a
podcast.
Baconator.
Good.
Italian, though, you know, what's great about Italian is I can make good Italian food at home. I don't really feel like I can make good Mexican food or Japanese food at home. But Italian
You
food,
can't make
some tacos, maybe. Burrito.
Yeah, I can't. Maybe you can. I can't.
That's about all I can make. Just you get all the fixins, you get your stuff, and just make your own thing.
Beans and rice. I feel like I could do much better Mexican food than I could.
It's
Italian.
a good equalizer too, like with a group, because everybody doesn't have to like the same stuff, and you can all be happy because you just make the fixins and people can put on what they want.
Exactly.
Buffet style.
Space Lobster says, can the DCP make a terrible executive decision and let me, a fan, on the show? I'll be nice. When you say I'll be nice, it doesn't make me think you're gonna be nice.
Now, we don't want you to be nice.
Trust me.
That's the problem.
Well, now I'm not gonna trust you because you set the precedent.
I'm a nice guy. What do you mean?
The law of my moaning minute videos actually came from that, where we were doing fishing, and I was like, "You've got 60 seconds, like a fucking radio host. You can come in, you can whine, but you only get to moan
60 seconds.
for 60 seconds, and then I kick you out."
That's
It
awesome.
would be better. You know, what would be even better is if you had to do a voicemail. So you could just shut it off the voicemail.
Call in, yeah.
You know, me and when we were first starting the show, way back when, we had the discussion. It was like Pope Bear wanted to have like call-ins, basically. You know, it's kind of like what Twitter questions is, but people would call in, and I was adamantly against it because when I listen to call-in radio shows, I'm just like, you hear people who've never been on a microphone before drone on. It's like, no, we can't have a podcast. No, we can't do that. But Twitter questions is perfect because there's only like 140 characters. Like, you can't. It's perfect.
Yeah.
This guy Sim says, on a lighter note, for next Halloween, which of you will dress up as Tefty holding a sword hilt? Oh, that is such a good idea.
That is a great idea.
I'm writing that down. That is really funny. Did you guys dress up for Halloween this year?
Then someone has to do Blue, though, right? Blue Wrestler. We got to have both of them.
Who's closer to Tefty, Briar or Mylan?
I don't know. Probably
They
Mylan.
both got about the same size beard going on right now.
Probably Mylan. That would be funny. That's it. Did you guys dress up for Halloween this year?
Just a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Would you dress up 3-year-old ass?
Well, he wanted to be Shrek for the longest time, an ogre, and I was like, dude, I don't know how this is gonna work to like paint you all green and like give you some ears, you know. And then at the last second, we convinced him to be a pirate, and I was like, done, let's do it. It was so, and it like he just used stuff around the house, and it looked incredible, spot on. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He also like looked like he was like 3 years older, and that was weird. But I was like, we got to get you out of these clothes. You're still a kid.
Facial hair on him.
We've got one of those digital photo frames in the living room, and one of the pictures that comes up every once in a while is one of my kids dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow when they were 10 years old, and it is a solid costume. My wife used to knock it out of the park with those costumes.
Nice.
We don't really do Halloween in Australia, but I've got nieces that like are kind of into it, and there's like this one neighborhood. It's really funny because it's like they're probably American. This is one house in this neighborhood that just goes crazy, and they like have all these, like there's a giant spider on the roof, like this massive spider, and like you could walk through their courtyard, and there was all these amusements, and
it was real.
They literally hire like fairy floss trucks, and there was like popcorn there, and they're doing a sausage sizzle and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like they were the catalyst for just everyone like thinking, okay, this is the neighborhood trick or treat. And so you could, because you don't really do trick or treating here. Like most people won't treat. So like if there's a house with decorations, you know that they're into it, and you go get your candies and whatever. And I feel like this one house basically just forced the whole suburb into like trick or treating.
Against their will.
And
that's
so
hilarious.
much so, like they would hand out like these pamphlets that if you go to like a hotel and you would like do not disturb. They basically had them for people like in the neighborhood who were like, please, I just want to be over this. And like you could hang it on your door, and it says like, I'm in, like
piss
knock
off.
on there, I've got treats for you, or it says like piss off.
Yeah, get off my lawn.
Anyway, there was my Leo dressed up as Mario. We had a cute little Mario outfit for him. And my nieces, there was a lot of Wednesday Addams from the Addams family.
Yeah.
A lot of Wednesday Addams, and I think the little one went as a witch. So
that show was great, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it yet, that Wednesday show on Netflix.
Speaking of shows, anybody watch any horror movies for Halloween?
Yes, I watched
Alan
actually
Wake too.
Halloween movies.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
I watched the new trilogy of Halloween movies. Which
Very
I liked
nice.
the first one. I hated the second one, and I kind of liked the third one. It looked like they were kind of opening it up. They can make another trilogy with like a new person, kind of. But Jamie
Wow.
Lee Curtis, big fan.
I will say, if you want to be very disturbed, we got our every once in a while just got to do that free trial on Shudder just to watch a horror movie, And they have a new one out where evil lurks, and it was very disturbing if you're into horror movies. It was very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
we
been a
watched-
while.
I played Alan-
Let me put it this way: it's been a while since me and my wife. The last time was Hereditary, where there's a scene where you're like, and you're like just hand over the mouth, And there was a scene in where evil lurks where we like it happened, and we were both just like I looked over on the couch, and she was doing the same thing. I was like, okay, it's a good movie. If we're both doing that, it's a good movie.
We also
think I've
watched
played Alan Wake
Knock at the
2.
Cabin Door, which was pretty good. I wouldn't call it a horror movie though.
Oh yeah, that one's interesting. The M
Yeah.
Night movie, right? Yeah.
I think for me,
I played Alan Wake 2 and
yeah, I
was
thought you were
scared.
playing that.
I've been
Shitless.
waiting. I want
Yeah?
to so bad.
All right.
I played the first one. It was
Like
pretty
the
spooky.
first chapter. I mean, I don't know if it was just because I was literally playing it at night time, had all the lights off. I had my hoodie on, I had my headset on, I had it cranked up. And man, I was wrecking myself.
I saw the clip.
Like the atmosphere is so good. I mean, obviously, like any sort of scary movie, like it gets better the more you play. Like once you get the monster revealed and you're in combat and stuff, it gets better. But it does hold a lot of tension throughout the game, and it is.
It doesn't sound like it's for me
It's
at
good.
all. Not in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't wait.
I'm the kind of person who doesn't understand people's affinity for like getting scared and horror and stuff. I think maybe because I've had some pretty traumatic like mother nature things happen in my lifetime where like I almost died and stuff when I was a kid a couple of times to stuff going on. So I think I've bottled that trauma up and try to keep it away. And so when people like to be scared, I'm like, why do you search this out? Why do you want
I kind of agree with you.
I
there.
guess I understand the adrenaline rush. I understand like looking for that and like wanting to feel feelings. I get that, but like feeling terrified or like seeing people's just like heads get chopped, like all that just weird stuff. I'm like, why are you searching that out? It's so weird to me.
The
There's
gore
actually
never bothers
research
me.
done.
I like seeing the gore and stuff. Like, have you ever seen Wrong
No.
Turn with the half cap where the axe comes from around the tree?
Oh
and you just
gosh.
see the woman's eyes dilate, and then
Mm-mm.
the camera pans down, and you just watch her body fall down a tree. That's
Those are the
something that
two-
never bothered me. But it's
Those are
like
the two
when they
kinds
put
of horror I
children
don't
at
care
risk and
for.
like that tension. I don't like that.
Oh, you
Did
don't?
you guys have,
No, I don't.
did
like
you guys
that.
have older
Don't
siblings?
watch the movie I recommended. Then.
Okay.
Do you guys have older siblings or have older siblings when you were younger?
No, I killed them.
Younger.
No? Okay, maybe this is why. My brother used to show me like snuff films when he was a teenager. And
Oh
I was like
god.
in grade school and he was like, John, come look at this. And like just like rotten.com, like really nasty, crazy shit. He's like, isn't this funny? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with
No, man.
you? What is
Yeah.
going on?
Not into
So,
it.
yeah, no.
Rundis says, with the whole Bungie debacle going on right now, the community is very much doom and gloom about the future. But I have to ask, is the current state of Destiny any worse than when Curse of Osiris launched? Shout out to all the devs who were unfortunately let go. See you, Starside. And the big difference is they didn't lay a bunch of people off when Curse of Osiris launched, then delay like the next thing. Like that is what is so weird about right now, right?
Yeah, there's a difference between like gameplay problems and company problem, like Bungie studio problems, and those problems being so public. And you know, and community managers being involved in those direct, like even it just hits so many different sides of the community. Whereas Curse of Osiris, that's just like that's like a gameplay thing, you know, or even like you could argue just Destiny 2 in general when it first launched and it just didn't hit player expectations. You could argue the same thing, and we needed like a Forsaken DLC. But this is a different problem. Like, yeah, there are a lot of gameplay things that are in the dumps for people, but the main bad thing here is what's going on with the company.
Grim Invictus, Hive God of Lore, says, if you could have the powers of any raid boss, which would it be and how would you use them?
Didn't they all get defeated?
Well, Atheon's going to have some sort of time travel.
Atheon, yeah, that's the one to go to for me too. But honestly, the only one I know which powers they had was the time travel stuff. Like, what did the other raid bosses have for powers?
I mean, I guess Crota has like a throne world thingy, an oversoul.
Oh, not dying ever. That'd be nice.
Maybe you have like a Horcrux.
Would it though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be callous.
Get a robots.
You could be a robot.
Yeah.
Have a replacement robot.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Replacement robot would be pretty good, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like a replica robot would be pretty good.
It would be pretty good.
And
or would you rather be like a genie, like Riven, like you could grant his wishes, but it was always perverted?
No, it doesn't. It sounds like it'd be fun for a little bit, but get old after a while.
Yeah, car powers is being mentioned in the chat, but like that's more like you're the genie granting other people wishes, right? Like,
yeah,
doesn't sound appealing.
What was the boss of Spire? Was a Valkaur? What was how did I always called him Val Kilmer. How did you pronounce that?
I never played that raid.
It's like Valkaur or something like that. He had the jetpack.
Yeah,
fly around in space.
That's not a superpower. That's a jetpack.
He's Iron Man.
Well, he was just like a cabal, so you know.
You're the power of pissing me off.
Lots of balls. He had like how many balls did he have? Like in his body, 6, 8, just spitting out
balls.
Orbs.
Lots of balls.
I don't know if I'd want more balls. I feel like
balls.
I'm topped off as it is.
I have a superpower. I have 8 balls.
8 balls. That's not a superpower. That's like a super weakness.
That's a crit point right there.
Killdozer666 says, good luck to y'all. I hope y'all can find some peace of mind. I imagine this is a worry-filled mess for Destiny CCs.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I actually I kind of quit Destiny already, like the week before this happened. So
he had a call into management. He saw coming before the rest of us.
Yeah, mate, I was on the lifeboat like an hour before it sunk.
It is a weird place to be in, to like want to like respect the vibe of the community, but also like I just finished the biggest project like I've ever done on YouTube, and I'm just not posting it this week because like it's just you want out of respect, but also too like you don't want to watch the video sink, and so it's just this dilemma of
nobody wants to watch anything.
Yeah,
like
everybody.
Right now,
there's all drama right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that it's not related to any time, like time news or anything like that. It's just like a project. It's smart. It's just a project that's independent.
Yeah.
Hi, Briar.
Hey, fixing my camera.
You know those like ring those ring videos that go around where there's somebody's face like super.
Hey guys.
That's what Briar looks like right now.
You guys here?
It's like Cable Guy or something.
Can Lego come out and play? You guys got any of those big Snicker bars?
Full size. Didn't you say that you had full size candy bars for Halloween, Briar? Yeah. How many trick or treaters did you end up getting?
I was up here doing a podcast with you, so I don't
Oh,
really
that's
know.
right. Literally, and I think I told you, like literally 2 minutes after we ended Retro Slot, we had our first trick or treater. It was like perfect timing.
Yeah, the rule here is extra candy goes to work with my wife. Does not stay here.
That's where we differ. I'm like
I don't want
scrounging into my kids' bags this morning. Like, what can I eat?
I'll eat it all.
About Halloween,
especially
when your kid's little, and when your kid's young, there's so much they can't eat, so they get all this like chewy stuff or sour stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
Joe Corcoran says, I feel so bad for the people that got laid off, but we as a Destiny community, where do we stand now? I think we
I mean,
all
we don't-
agree that we feel bad for the people who got laid off, and now we gotta mourn that. We gotta take our week to kind of like be here and do that, and hopefully whatever we can do for those people. But I mean, like Lego was saying, if you still like Destiny, they're still making Destiny. So if you still want to play Destiny, it's there. You know, don't forget, there's still 92% of the staff making Destiny, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're talking about like a moral perspective, like nearly all the products in your house, you know, like how far do you want to take it from your phone to your internet to everything else? You know, layoffs have been across all the tech world.
There's no such thing as conscientious consumerism. It's not a thing.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, you can be more hesitant to pre-order, and I think that's probably the most powerful thing you can do. And then you know, once reviews are out and once people have got their hands on whatever product you want to buy and people say it's good, and then you can invest your money in it. I think that's how it changes. And I think maybe the Destiny community has been a bit more blind to pre-ordering because of their trust in the company, and that's obviously dissolved. So now you don't pre-order.
If it makes you feel any better, even the devs that like have been laid off, a lot of them have been saying like, please continue to support the product and the people working on it still, and all that stuff. So it's not like they're, you know, obviously they're distraught and upset and stuff, but even through that, they're still saying those things about their former coworkers and stuff, and I think that speaks volumes. So, um, until we can't anymore, at least me personally, I'm going to continue to play the game and stuff, and
Or until I don't want to.
right, exactly. Like that choice is always you know, up to you as a consumer, like whether you want to consume the product or not. But
yeah.
Charles B. Davis says, what can we as players do to help the state of the Destiny / Bungie as a whole? I think honest feedback, I think, is probably the best thing you can do.
I don't think it's feedback anymore. I think it's just like you just wait. Like I said, wait for it to come out. Wait for a product to come out.
I forgot to mention this when we were reading the I guess the TWAB or whatever they released today. Did you guys, when you were feeling this, because they said in the letter, like, or in the note, like, we know you guys want confidence in the product and all that stuff. And when I was reading, I was like, I honestly, where I'm at right now this week, I don't really care about the final shape and like that stuff, because like I know it's going to come out. Like there's faith there for that. I want to know more about like what's happening internally. Like why are these things happening, and what we can do realistically to like, I don't know, help or at least know what's going on. It obviously they're not going to tell us everything, but that's what my brain was like. Okay, is this related to the Sony stuff? Confirm or deny publicly, like giving at least some kind of. But I guess if Joe does come out and kind of explain things, it'll fix that. But yeah,
it is a weird place to be, you know. It's a good question. Like, what? Not what do we do to like help? Obviously, like people were laid off and stuff. If you want to help them, just retweet all the job. Like honestly, people looking for work, like, hey, I've been laid off. Just hit that retweet button, get the word out there. That is the biggest thing you can do for them. Alternatively, or not alternatively, but on the other side of that, like as far as like feedback for the game, we're in a weird spot because of the community managers being taken out. And it's like, where is this feedback going? Is our, you know, we're concerned about feedback being heard, because usually the response would be just give feedback, like Breyer said, give good feedback. But right now, with everything, it's like we do need what you said, Jay. We just need somebody to come out to like say, this is what we're looking for. Like, not just we want to make it better for you, because right now it's just a blanket, like, it's on us, we're gonna make it better, y'all just sit back and wait. It's kind of what it feels like. So there is nothing. It's just like, play the game if you want to, don't if you don't. And that's kind of it. But it is usually we feel a little more active as a community, and we're kind of just like stuck right now.
Good point. Gareth Evans says, today doesn't seem like the day to be asking silly questions. I couldn't disagree more. Today is exactly the day to be asking silly questions.
Yeah.
That being said, what's morally worse, Patrick mama birding 3D Doritos or plotting to eat Breyer? Side note, hope all the good people who got laid off at Bungie this week land on their feet, and good luck to them. Same.
Morally
Mama
worse, or
birding-
what's a worse image?
Mama birding 3D Doritos is just foul, but it doesn't hurt anybody. Plotting
That's
to
a
eat
pun.
Briar, you're doing real harm to me.
For some reason, the baby birding 3D Doritos feels worse.
It does.
I don't.
It
I
does.
can't explain it.
Well, if you can picture Briar screaming as he's being eaten, it may not seem worse.
yeah. That's different.
You're thinking that he's gonna be eaten like a cartoon character or something, as opposed to like the realism of whatever it's called. What is it called when you like eat
Cannibalism.
cannibalism? Yeah. I was like, it's not carnivore. It's yeah.
Look what they got me for my Christmas present.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Dinner party.
They who?
Watts.
Shit. All right.
These people are crazy. Come on out. We'll hang out. We'll party. No.
My wife said this is like a few months ago before I joined the show, but I still like listen and everything, and she had brought up that they were bringing the 3D Doritos back, and she was like, "Oh, I love these as a kid. I need to go get it back." I was like, "Please don't. Please just stay
They're
away."
not.
Like,
Let me tell you, they're
for
not
me and my
good.
mental health.
They're not good
Well, you're not
because
eating them
they
right.
changed the flavors. No, they're not the like original Doritos. It's like taco, and they upset my. It was weird. It like made me have an upset stomach, almost like Taco
Made me
Bell.
have an upset stomach. I didn't even eat any.
Just
They're
the
not
thought.
good.
What's this? Lou Bling says, I haven't watched the show since January when I put Destiny down for the first time since the beta. We'll be tuning in to this show to see you guys discuss.
Thanks.
Well,
Thank you.
I guess we'll take it.
Good question.
Sly Lucifer Jake says, do we know if any of the PvP strike team was directly affected by layoffs? If not, how do y'all think the events that happened this week affect the strike team moving forward? Lego, you kind of answered this earlier, right?
Yeah, I hadn't seen anybody laid off, and Jay and Mylan both, I think, kind of touched on this, but anybody laid off that like was hands-on, like weapons, like sandbox, like any of that stuff. I didn't see any, but I feel like some of the testers were, but I can't remember. I don't have like a list of all the different positions in front of me, but it wasn't one of the ones that stood out. So it doesn't seem like that's the case, but I don't know.
I don't like using this term, but I feel like it's kind of applicable. The like when COVID was happening and stuff, the essential workers, right? The people that are still working on the project are like what they deem as essential to building the product. So I presume that, Destiny Strike Team and the people making the actual content are still there. At least that's what it seems like. Yeah.
I also didn't see anyone from, because I was thinking about that too, but I also didn't see anyone from marketing, like with like I'm thinking of like video marketing stuff, like cinematic screen capture team. I didn't see any of them laid off either. But I did see someone involved in the live streaming, like live event, when they do like live events, someone from that team laid off. And it really does seem like anyone involved in communication with the player base, like they were like targeted, is what it feels like. And for some reason, the music too. I don't understand.
I don't know if you guys know Beyond Key, but he was like when they would go to like PAX or something like that, he was like the guy that would oversee that kind of stuff. He got laid off too, which I hadn't seen Bungie at a con, and it's been a few years, so they're just like, it's weird.
Been a weird,
but it's difficult because Bianchi was also one of the main people to like get content creators involved in not just like events, but up and coming, I could be wrong, but like up and coming expansions and getting them included in I don't know what would happen with that, but It just seemed like they were in more direct communication for when things were about to release, getting people hyped for it. But maybe you're right. Maybe it was just the live stuff, the like inviting to events and stuff like that. It's tough. It's a tough look.
They weren't officially at GCX, I don't believe, this last year. It was like an unofficial thing, right? It was an
I don't know. I didn't go.
Yeah.
It's not really a Destiny thing anymore anyway.
Yeah, I mean, somebody in the chat commented that they were GCX. There were some people there, and they were the year before as well, but it was really unofficial, and it was like they were getting feedback for stuff, and they were like making contact. It was like the like Andy and the social media guys and stuff that were there, like making contacts and talking with creators and stuff like that. There really is what they were doing.
Dream Tether says, has Destiny 2 perhaps become an unsustainable juggernaut of a game? Seems like Bungie has struggled to maintain it on all fronts for some time. Combined with natural franchise fatigue, maybe the decline is inevitable as at this point. Time for a smaller, more focused game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like they have maintained it, but they haven't like innovated in that area. Well, they have as well. I don't know.
They also don't seem
It's
to be
like when you have a
thriving
live
with this
service
business model, right?
It's like you not only need to maintain, you need to innovate, and then like you create a very thirsty audience that expectations keep rising too. And it's kind of, yeah, I do think it's kind of inevitable, especially once you get to the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
So what is Bungie going to do that's going to be so different that gets you excited about playing? You either already still like it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be thriving like with this business model, right? Like whatever this is, like they said they were like weeks from going out of business before, you know, they had to lay off people now. Like there's so many companies trying to like capture the live service business model. It seems like there's only a couple of games that can maintain it. There's fewer that can make a profit. You know, like Fortnite seems to be able to make a profit. Destiny doesn't seem to be able to make a profit. Or maybe they're just spending their money on the wrong things, like new buildings, new headquarters.
Yeah, that was a complaint. Yeah, I don't know.
Autobot Dawson says, in the event that any of you stop playing Destiny, will the podcast continue as something else, or will Retro Slot and side quests persist at least? Love you guys and would be sad to see this podcast go. I listened to it even though I haven't touched Destiny since February. Yeah, we do have Retro Slot with me and Jay. We have a good time with that every other Tuesday. Side quests, we've had trouble scheduling that. We may have to think about like a time change for recording because we keep missing that one. But yeah, there's no plan for any of the podcasts to go away. If Destiny were to shutter, like if the game itself were to shutter, I mean, you can't have a podcast for it for long after that, right? And I suspect that people will, you know, just like has always happened with this podcast, is as people stop playing or they move on to other things, you know, people move out, new people move in. That'll continue to happen with this podcast. But you can drag Retro Slot from my cold dead hands.
Environment?
I like the confidence, Briar. It's reassuring. There's no layoffs in the pod. That's
oh
use
gosh,
that word.
yeah.
No, sorry, that's bad. Yeah, that was bad. Bad form.
Blaney McBlanderson is back. Very happy to see. He's last week's question was, he had five names. 4 are real names recorded in the U.S. Census, and 1 is fake. So these are the names. This is last week's question, so he's going to give us the answer. Anal L samples, hardened butt smacker, given head, urethra scoggins, and lesbo Batman. The fake name. Does anybody remember what we guessed? I don't remember what we guessed. That's the one I always problem. No. Anybody remember?
Wasn't there.
That wasn't here.
Okay, well. Anyone want to hazard a guess?
I saw the
Oh, he's all
answer,
the
so I'm not
answers
gonna
today.
say.
You saw the answer?
I-
Okay,
I didn't see the answer. I'm gonna say Given Head, but that's just a guess.
Given Head was not the answer. That's the real name. Harden Butt Smacker was the made up one. This week, I have a regular question. I need more fruit in my diet, but it's hard to tell when fruit is bad, and I hate biting into a mealy apple or a mushy grape. What fruit is the most reliable for a good eating experience? It's a good question, Blandy.
That is a good question.
A banana? I feel like you know a banana's good or bad based on looking at the
based on the
container
color.
it's in. Right? If it's a brown banana, you know it's no good. But if it's yellow all the way around, it's probably pretty good.
I feel like blueberries are very easy to
good.
tell.
Yeah.
Strawberries too.
Yeah. But strawberries, I don't know. That's deceiving. I feel like it's like sometimes it's like, oh, this looks like a great one. You're like, this is really
It's
mushy.
like too
you know?
tart.
Yeah.
Or it's like hard as a rock.
But like blueberries, the older they get, like they just get more sour, and it's like, it just tastes better if you're into that. So,
And like, if you pick it up and it's like falling apart in your fingers, don't eat it.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like oranges and mandarins and stuff like that. I never really have a bad one. I don't know if they're just more resistant.
More resistant to being eaten.
They can dry out and stuff too, and it can be hard to tell unless you open it and stir it.
Can they?
Like, yeah. I'm trying to think.
Bananas ripe real quick.
Yes.
And you might but you can usually tell. Apples can be very tricky to tell.
Apples can be tricky.
Especially if you don't know what kind of apple it is.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay, here's a real question though. My wife likes apples that aren't crunchy. Should I divorce her? Like she likes soft apples. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Maybe in like a
I think
pie.
I think therapy is the first step.
Okay.
You don't have to jump right to the deep
Fully,
end.
Trying to think.
There's probably
Fully,
some childhood trauma related to the soft apples.
Yeah. My wife and I have been working on this ranch dressing thing for a while, and it's not going great, but we're working through it.
What about grapes? And I don't love melon, but I feel like melon is usually pretty consistent.
Like cantaloupe or like honeydew.
I don't
watermelon.
I don't eat any of that stuff.
Watermelon? You don't eat any melon? No melon? All melons are off
Actually,
limits?
pineapple. Pineapple's usually really consistent.
Not a melon.
No, it was different. I was moving on.
Wait, is pineapple a melon?
No, definitely not.
What makes a melon a melon?
That's a good
Got
question.
melon in the name, like rock melon, watermelon.
Cantaloupe doesn't have melon.
What's a rock melon?
Does a pumpkin start as a? Does a pumpkin
that's a
classify as a
gourd.
melon?
That's a gourd.
Pumpkin's a squash. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah. If you can carry water in it, then it's a gourd.
it's a gourd.
It's just a funny word.
It is.
Gourd.
Gourd.
Yeah, we call cantaloupe rock melon here.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
Yeah,
I was like, you just got
Is that because it looks like rock from the outside?
It's just like shake it like
yeah,
a
I
rattle.
think so. Yeah.
Second Son 22 says, "Can we get a DCP apathy check?"
Apathy's pretty
But
high.
Destiny, or just in general.
Both.
I mean, I'm pretty high up there on the apathy meter. I think I'm, not like negative apathy. It's just like I'm interested in other stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. It's not that I don't want to play Destiny. It's that I'm so into doing everything else. I just joined a new gym, started playing pickleball, got Mario Wonder. I also got that new RoboCop Rogue City game. Like shit, there's a lot of shit going on right now.
I feel like apathy is pretty high. It wasn't high for me before this, and now that this is hit, it's like I just don't want to log on, and that's fine. Just go do something else for a little while. You know, go edit something, and next week I'll log on.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, or
Sure.
it doesn't. Maybe you just need to leave.
I don't know.
But-
Destiny's gunplay does make the heart grow fonder when you get away from it.
Nothing else like it.
True.
Unfortunately.
What would you rate this on the apathy scale? I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty sure I'm gonna start selling off my Destiny swag and merch that I've gotten over the
Wow.
years. Like
But
my
you just pre-ordered 2 more collector's
But he-
editions.
no,
returned them.
I canceled those. I'm
Oh, you
canceling
canceled
those.
Oh.
So that was my whole thing. I
Yeah,
was
you're pretty
canceling for
high
the
up
first
there, man.
time. And
That's pretty
like
high.
I have 32 physical seal pins, all the seals that I've ever gotten. I bought the pins for, and I think I'm just gonna sell them at this point.
Huh.
Not just because of, I mean, this was kind of the push over the edge, but like, we could use the money a little bit too. Like those things can be worth, like, I got some good
Yeah.
ones. So I don't know.
I only ever bought the pins so I could get the emblems or to support the cause. I never bought the
I got a
pins
lot of
for
those
the
too.
pins.
Yeah.
Like I don't
There's
have
like-
any, as an adult, I don't have any need for pins. Do you guys use pins
Listen.
on the daily?
Listen, Briar. It's
just-
it's the
did I
collector
just cross the line?
achievement. No, it's like I was just it's I'm not actually upset. It's like the collector, like I'm a collector. What can I say?
I
It's
see.
just in
Yes,
my
I
blood.
understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
it was my thing. Every digital seal I got, I would get the physical seal. It was like a badge. But then they got unruly. Like at one point there was only 2 or 3 a year, right? It was kind of simple, but now there's like 6 or 7 or 8 a year. It's wild.
Is there that many?
It's way too. Like I only go for certain ones now. I go for like the raid ones and sometimes the dungeon ones and stuff. But there's so many. Yeah, there's like the Festival of the Lost one, and then there's the Moments of Triumph ones, and the PvP, the Iron Lord ones, and then there's just so many.
You guys think that Destiny has it bad? I've been playing Mortal Kombat 1, and they just released a new fatality, and they're charging $12 for it. For a fatality.
For a vitality?
Pay to win, Briar.
That's basically a
Holy.
cutscene. Like you're paying $12 for a cutscene.
Like, is it that train one? Is it the train?
No, it's like a pumpkin one. Like you,
Okay.
it's a Halloween inspired one. MTL Rocker says this has been a super heavy week, and I feel horrible for those affected by the layoffs. But let's remember why DCP exists, to trick Briar into reading comments about the best way to cook Briar. We all could use a little humor this week. Yeah.
Sure.
This week in video game says, while Bungie can delay the final shape and hopefully improve it from good to great for launch in June 2024. God, June 2024 is so far away. When
It's
you say
very
it.
far.
Do Bungie need to put something in place for the 7-month-long season? That gap is going to have a negative effect, and we've already seen record low player numbers. I mean, they could do something like the 30th anniversary that what they did last time they had a long delay like this, right?
AOE, yeah.
Yeah.
Or AOT,
That's
excuse
true.
me.
It's difficult because anything you move forward, like if you were to take something you were working on for final shape and move it forward, like, oh, there's this, activity or event or, weapon set or something, you move that forward, that's stuff taking away from the one thing that they care about the most, which is selling the final shape. I think I could be wrong, but I feel like they would rather watch the season trail off and players decline and have just a huge spike when final shape hits. I could be wrong.
Can they just bring back the Leviathan raids, please? That would, they'd probably have to update rewards a little bit, but
I also wonder how it would play with special weapons.
it'd be fine.
I think it'd be fun.
Expired Ramen says, if Marathon comes out and doesn't do well, do you think Bungie will go back all in on Destiny?
Nope.
No, I don't. I don't think Marathon is the only other thing they're working on either.
I also think that, you talked a little bit earlier.
Time. Be very interesting if Marathon isn't like an instant hit. Like I don't think Destiny was an instant hit, but everyone saw that there was potential there and it had enough to support its development. But with how much Bungie's grown and how many IPs they're working on, like it would be very interesting times if Marathon didn't hit it off straight away.
I'm curious how unique it's going to be because Destiny was so unique, as an experience and as a game. Like Marathon is shaping up to feel like it's kind of a well, it's a re-envisioning of their original title, but it's also kind of a rehash of game type that like exists. So
Yeah, but you could have said the same about Destiny if you just knew it was a looter shooter, right? If you just knew what genre is, and you're like,
right. Well,
well, how's a looter shooter going to entertain me for a decade?
that's why I was like, I wonder how unique
Yeah.
it's going to be. Right?
Yeah, they
Like,
have to redefine the genre like they did with looter
Yeah.
shooter. Really.
Yeah.
That's a tall order.
But that's what Bungie's known for, is redefining, like with Halo, redefining the FPS, and then with Bungie, with Destiny, the looter shooter, and now they're gonna do it with extraction type game mode. And yeah, I could see them doing something like that. But also further to the point of like, if it fails, we're in an age of repairing games that don't do well at launch. Even Destiny, you know, like the actual like reviews and story and all of that, everybody was like, what is happening, you know? But it had some secret sauce to it, and as long as Bungie includes that secret sauce in Marathon, I can't see it not, even if it doesn't do well at first, them reviving it. Like, look at stuff like No Man's Sky, and even Halo, the recent one, has had a huge turnaround recently.
I think the only way they fail is if they stop trying. Like, you know, it's just that the idiom of our life, right? Like, as long as they keep getting it, but like that decision is made by the board, it's made by the whatever, the stockholders and stuff like that, like, or whoever's making those decisions. If they give up on the IP, that's the only way it'll fail, in my opinion.
If you got a bad idea, you gotta give up someday.
They can pivot, man. They can pivot. Like, there's so many games that when they've stuck with it, it's been awesome comeback stories, but the ones that don't are the ones that they just, like, you know, they cut their losses and they move on. So I think if Bungie is committed to this game, they'll be fine.
I mean, I think they will be. I think with the infrastructure that they're making around a PvP game, I feel like they'll be able to pivot to something. You know, that when they've going to invest so much in servers and cheat protection and all that kind of stuff that you require for a PvP game, it would be pretty rough to let that go, you know, quickly.
In chat, they're bringing up Fortnite too, not even starting as a battle royale.
Well, that's
a
good point.
Yeah.
Buko16 says they never explicitly stated a plan for future content after TFS other than the episodes. Do you think there are any plans for actual large expansions going forward, especially in light of all that had recently occurred? It's hard to visualize the future of Destiny 2 right now. It's hard to visualize because they're not talking about it, and I think they should be.
Yeah. I mean, 650
I got the impression
people
they didn't really know.
Could be.
Okay.
Like,
I mean,
when they were talking about episodes, it kind of felt like a wait and see. Like, hey, we're going to give episodes a shot.
I mean, we know there's story to be told after the final shape because they've shared the title of it with us, right? I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, and the narrative team was really excited about it too. Like, when they first announced it, a lot of the narrative people, writers, took to Twitter and seemed kind of hype about the format, like telling a story in this new format. So I'm definitely interested. I just don't feel like Bungie's doing a good job of getting us excited for it because they're so funnel visioned on the final shape.
Final shape, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, I don't know if this is encouraging or not, but 650 people seems like a lot to just work on episodes.
Well, I mean, they're not all working on the same thing.
Spread
right?
across.
Some people are working on the next thing. Some people are working on things out of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. If episodes is all we have moving forward, it seems unlikely that that's the case. Given how many people
I would agree with you. I think it's unlikely too. I think that they do plan on having big expansions, but they're not talking about it. I think they should be.
Well, I mean, maybe it depends on the success of Marathon. You know, if Marathon pops off, then it's like, well, okay,
It
like
could be too.
episodes are
Funnel
kind
resources.
of just, you know, start moving a lot more people over to Marathon to cope with the bright, you know, shiny new toy, and then you do whatever episodes like just to sort of keep people.
I guess
ticking
that's a
along
good
in
point.
Destiny.
It could be they're giving themselves options almost like from a high level. That's a really interesting take.
I mean, that's what happened with like the Fortnite example,
Right.
Like, Epic Games literally had Paragon, which was a MOBA. They had Fortnite and they had something else. Then Fortnite blew up, and they just literally closed down all their other IPs and put all their
I
resources
was
into Fortnite.
I was sad about that too, by the way, because they were
Same.
talking about how Save the World was going to go free to play, and they were going to come out with. I was like, I was so excited. I was like, co-op, free to play, awesome, that's dope. And then like, yeah, all the.
I was playing Paragon. Mr. Freak got me into Paragon. I was like, this is sick. I was playing a MOBA. He got shut down.
Cobalt says, in an attempt to lighten the mood, what's your favorite Halloween candy? Halloween candy.
We talked about this the other day, right?
We talked about it on other podcasts, though.
Yeah.
I changed my answer anyway. Because I'm fickle.
It's got to be some kind of gummy, I feel like
the THC
like Sour
ones,
Patch
those are my favorite, too.
Kids, Sour Patch
much
Kids or
THC,
Dots,
though. I don't like to
or
get
something
too
like
high.
that.
You say too much THC? What kind of Sour Patch Kids are you buying, Briar?
Gummies. He said gummies. Like the gummy worms, my favorite.
Is Mylan gonna know any of the candies that we talk about if we name names?
Are we gonna know any of the ones he talks about?
Rock. They have rock
Wagon
candy
wheel.
here.
You guys got wagon wheels over there?
Yeah, the licorice. It's
No.
licorice, right?
No, something different.
They have wagon wheels here, but they're licorice. Pretty sure.
No, it's like
I've
a
never heard
chocolate
it.
biscuit
Never heard of them either place.
with like jam and cream in it.
That doesn't sound like candy.
That looks like a moon pie, actually.
Wait, does chocolate? What do you call it? Does chocolate? Like we call things lollies here. We know how to call it lollies in America. You call it candy.
Lollipop.
Wait, does candy include chocolates, or is that not
Yes.
included?
No,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does.
The wagon wheel looks like a moon pie. Is it marshmallow in the middle?
Yeah, sorry, it's marshmallow. Yeah,
That's basically a moon pie. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm just gonna. Quickly. My favorite candy for years was Butterfinger, until they changed the recipe.
I didn't know they changed it. That's how long it's been.
Still upset about it a little bit.
Did y'all
4 years
ever
ago.
try the Butterfinger BBs?
Yes, those were amazing.
Those were
good. Yeah.
Awesome. Why
need to
did they
bring
get
those
rid of
back.
those?
The form, it's like there's something about, like, I'm a connoisseur of candy. Like the mini Reese's cups
Yeah.
have a better flavor profile than like a big one, because the like
chocolate
balance,
ratio?
the ratio and the balance of chocolate to
I
peanut
disagree.
butter
There's
is
too
better.
much chocolate. There's too much chocolate. In the
No, I'm with
And
Jay.
it's almost
No, the
crunchy a
big
little
ones
bit.
I like better.
But
And,
the
like,
BBs
they're
are
more
like
fun,
that.
like trying to poke out the middle, or like the little ones are just like little bite-sized things. They're not as much fun as the big ones. You ever see like the
They're
real
less
big
work.
ones?
You can be wrong. It's
They're less
okay.
work. That's true. They are less work.
But like a full size Butterfinger is one of the worst like balanced candy bars, because it's all peanut butter. But like the mini Butterfingers are so much better, because it just has a good ratio balance of chocolate to peanut. Like the new peanut butter, the new Butterfingers are still good. They're just not the old Butterfinger.
I gotta try one.
They're more peanut buttery and more like soft, flaky, as opposed to like molassesy toffee like the old ones. It doesn't have molasses in it anymore.
Three Brothers, One Controller podcast has been playing Assassin's Creed game lately. My question is, what is your favorite Assassin's Creed game? What's your favorite Assassin's Creed? Have you guys ever played an Assassin's Creed?
Never liked Assassin's Creed.
Never liked them.
Did you play the first one or two?
I think I've played all of them except for 3.
I don't know. I was never really into like open world games, to be honest.
They weren't open world at first. Only the last 3 have been open world. I really liked Odyssey.
Really?
I thought that was amazing, like exploring ancient Greece and like finding like the Minotaur and Medusa kind of lurking around. I thought the story was really fun. I liked that game quite a bit. Odyssey.
I really liked the first one, even though the gameplay was awful and
really
repetitive.
liked the first one too.
The story was so compelling. It was one of the, like, I rarely finish story-driven games, but it was so compelling to me. It's such a different story. So I played all the way through the first 2 because of the way that they introduced the story and how compelling it was and stuff. But yeah, I haven't really played much of any of the other ones.
Devarian says, let's do 2 more questions. You guys good with that?
Sure.
All right. Devarian says, what would what world environment would you like to see added to Destiny? I.e., future tech city with Neomuna. I would like to see almost a dense redwood forest type environment. I think that would be fun for PvP and PvE things. I like that idea too. It reminds me of like the speeders and Jedi.
Doubles.
Phantom Menace?
Turn of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah,
Going through
yeah.
the trees. That'd be fun with the sparrows.
So that's what I thought. That's what I was hoping that Witch Queen was going to be like, because all the first trailers were in like a wood swampy thing, and I was like, are we going to get like thick like forest stuff? And it ended up being like, oh, we're in Savathun's throne world, and I was like, it's more like trippy castle. Like they showed off all the ivory castle after that, and I was like, that's great for that vibe, but I was hoping for something a little more woodsy.
How about old Chicago? Weren't we supposed to go to Chicago like forever ago? I want to go to Chicago.
I would love a like actual desolate city type feel, because I mean, you could say like Neomuna was a desolate city, but that doesn't I mean like destroyed golden age tech kind of thing. Like we kind of got that with Mars in Destiny 1, but I would like to see that realized fuller in Destiny 2.
Yeah, Chicago. I want to see Chicago. Chi-Town. Last question of the night. Thank you all for asking questions. We had way more than we could ever read. Thank you all. Set when the editor says, besides all the bad that has happened this week in Destiny, are y'all done playing after the final shape or no? I think that's a valid question. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I'm definitely playing final shape. Like at this point, how can I not find out how this goes? Right? Like, how can I not?
Yeah.
The 10-year journey. I want to know how this ends. Can they hook me after final shape? That's my question. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I've been asking that question for about a year now.
I mean, I don't think I'm like definitive. I'm never playing Destiny again. I just think that Destiny's not my main game. And there's a difference. So I think I'm not like I'm never coming back. Like I definitely want to see how it ends. If I didn't make content on Destiny, well, we'll see. You know what? If all my other content takes off, I probably won't play Final Shape. I've got a good amount of time to make other videos in between, and that's pretty much what I'm doing now. Like if I find success on YouTube in another format, actually I probably won't play Destiny. I will jump in to have a look at the expansions and that, but outside of playing it for a couple of days, probably not.
So I'm kind of I feel like as long as the gameplay like feel stays the same, I feel like I will stick around and keep something as my main game. That's how I kind of was with the Call of Duty franchise. Like in the beginning, I like really stuck with it hard until Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and then after that, when they started changing studios and the gameplay like actually felt different, I was like, this doesn't feel like the same game anymore. If that happens to Destiny, where it's just like it literally just doesn't feel like the same game anymore, then that's when I'm kind of out and it becomes not my main game. Of course, if there's another game that comes out that piques my interest, I would move on and start making that my main game. So it's kind of hard to say because we don't know what the future landscape of gaming looks like. But I will say that if Destiny keeps its feel and like the narrative direction like keeps being interesting, then I don't see a reason why I wouldn't.
I think as long as they keep making cooperative like 6+ person in like activities like raids and stuff, I'll continue to play because there's no other experience in a first person shooter like raids it's just the thing that's always hooked me and always given me joy to play with other people, and just even if we're just dicking around in a raid or something like that, it's just massive amounts of fun that I just can't replicate in other games most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably the parts that I would come back for, the raids and dungeons.
We need hopefully
what was
to raid
the
again
actual game? Lego.
The actual game?
Yeah, which one was it?
I think it was World at War was when it started, where I was like, this is starting to because it was Tetrarch and what was the other studio? The guys who didn't they go on to start Respawn?
Yeah.
When those guys left, that's when I was like, the feel is gone. And of course they went on to make, Apex
so you
and all
didn't even
those
play
games.
like Black Ops and like Black
No,
Ops 2?
I played it, but I didn't like it as much. I know it's very popular, but just for me, the feel was gone after that. Yeah, Infinity Ward. That's what I was thinking of. Because Infinity Ward changed directors, and I felt like the game actually changed after that.
Watts was big into Call of Duty as well. For me and Watts, I think it was Advanced Warfare. All right, guys.
I was just gonna ask: was Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 3 the same devs?
No,
those are the two that I mean.
Modern Warfare 2 was Infinity Ward. Black Ops was Treyarch.
Got it.
All right, guys. Hopefully next week's gonna be more fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing podcasts about video games is supposed to be this exhausting.
I feel like it won't be though. I feel like we're still gonna have an uphill battle next week because they're still gonna have to come out of the mud here, and it's gonna be difficult.
What if it's not a twab?
Then I'm gonna just start kazooing at random times.
It's got like a train whistle or something.
Get a foghorn.
Hoot hoot.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.